And once they get passed on, they're not the same. You get hit, you find out if you're a football player. That's why they say like some of those tackling drills have created the best basketball players. You know, guys get hit, they're like, Also, I feel like my team needed me, so I didn't want to come off the field, right? But I just remember, having a concussion and man, being in the huddle when they're calling the plays, I can't even remember the plays they're calling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like seriously, quarterbacks having to tell me what to do in the huddle. I know, well, this is the 28 toss. I'm like, 28 toss. Just run to the right. Life is not about having everything. Life is about appreciating everything you have and making the most out of what you have. And that's a purposeful life.
All right, here we go. Stay Classy Podcast, episode 95, Rob?
95.
Here we go. 5 more to 100. But we got Noel Phillips in the house, Coach Noel Phillips. But before we get to you, man, and list all your accolades, I got to say, Dodgers are 2024 World Series champions. So that has to be acknowledged for anything else. This is a long time overdue. I was saying last night to a friend of mine, like since I was like 9 years old, this is my first game on the radio with Vince Scully narrating. I've always been looking forward to this moment. 2020. Obviously, we won it all, but it was the COVID season that kind of overshadowed everything. So this is a big one for us. So, Padres had a good season too. But here we are. So, but Coach, I wanted to bring you in today. First, this is the second time on the podcast.
Yes, sir.
And
Thank you
came in, I think, a little over a year ago. I think last summer.
Yes, sir.
And we're gonna talk about some of the same stuff, but there's some updates with you I want to get to too. But first of all, I have to say, like off the top, like Coach Noel Phillips has been a huge influence in my life, both professionally and personally. You were one of my first kind of workout buddies in San Diego when I first moved down here in 2022. And you trained me, you mentored me for about a year. And so I owe a lot of who I am to you. So I just want to say appreciate it. And then also I wanted to say, like, you, for people who don't know, like you are a former running back.
Yes, sir.
And you had a promising NFL career, which was unfortunately derailed by a groin injury. But since then, you've made a lot of yourself. You're a fitness coach. And you're not just another fitness coach. You're one of the leading coaches in, I would say, Southern California in terms of the fitness brand that you bring to the table and the influence that you're having on young people, both in football and also just in the gym and in working out and in life. So, but tell us a little bit about you're in Washburn University, right?
Yes,
and then you graduated, and then you had this whole NFL career lined up for you that looked like it was going to take off with the Chiefs, and then you had this injury. Yeah. Tell us about like how that went down and sort of just for people who didn't listen to the last podcast, like how that went down and sort of the impact that had on you.
Man, I mean, long story short, man, after college, like most young athletes, you live your life, you have that dream. And that dream is to make it to the NFL, and that's the reason why we play. You want to be one of the greatest. And, you never think about the injury. That's why I always tell people your best ability is your availability. Let me say it again. Your best ability is your availability. Doesn't matter how good you are, you have to be available, which means you got to be healthy. You got to take care of yourself. And at that age, I think all the way up until that point, I was just an athlete, but I didn't think the bigger picture. So, I ended up getting hurt. I hurt my groin, and it shut what I thought was going to be a reality to me, which was a dream, and it came up short. And, it was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to deal with. But to be totally honest, in that moment, it took me to hit rock bottom to really find my purpose. And from getting injured, I found my true purpose, and that's to impact every human I come across in a positive way. And to also help each human find their purpose. So now I call it living with purpose for purpose. And I just dedicate my life every day now to doing that. And I got injured as an athlete, and now I'm mentoring many of athletes, and and helping other athletes develop and just people. And I'm truly thankful and grateful. That it all happened to me.
Yeah. And by the way, I just want to make a quick sidebar note, which is that your story where you, like the injury sort of derailed your NFL career, that's like not like I've seen that happen with other like professional athletes, like maybe not the greatest comparison, but like Brock Lesnar, for instance, like he had a career-ending injury with the Vikings where his career with the NFL really got started. He ended up going to MMA and WWE. So, and there's a lot of other like guys who became coaches or became famous in other spheres of life whose NFL careers got derailed by injuries. So I think that's kind of an interesting camp that you're in. But
yes, sir.
I also want to say like you not only did you like continue your own personal fitness journey, you turned it into a brand. You turned it into this powerhouse of coaching, and you coach a football team. Is it a middle school football team in San Diego?
Yeah. So right now, I coach with the Del Mar Coastal Bears, and
That's right.
I help with all the age groups, but the 12U and 13U, and we actually have we just won our playoff games last week.
Yeah.
And we have the
You guys have been
semifinal.
crushing it ever since you took over there, right? Like,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And man, so my brand is it's a great day to be great. And when I say that, I didn't say it's a good day to be good. I truly believe each human, if you wake up with air in your lungs, you have greatness in you. And once you wake up, it's up to you, and that means in everything you do, I believe in greatness, and greatness is not a destination; it's a journey. So that's how you live your life: day-to-day habits, consistency, discipline, dedication, commitment to whatever it is that you want to accomplish. And my young guys, I push that into everybody that I come across, and right now we on that journey. We have playoff games this weekend, 2 semifinal games, and we plan on not winning but dominating. Let me say it one more time: not winning but dominating.
Yeah, you guys do like every time I see your Instagram, it's like highlights. You guys, like you're the football team you coach, the Del Mar Bears. You guys are winning by like 3 or 4 touchdowns easily. Like it's like never close. Like you're winning every game and you're dominating every game. So that's a testament to the coaching that you guys are doing there. But I just also want to say like a quick side note, which is that there's a lot of, obviously, like podcasting as an industry, elephant in the room, is a very oversaturated market. There's tons of podcasts out there, and there's tons of sort of fitness influencers, coaches out there coming and selling their brands on podcasts. But let me just say, like, for the record, Coach Noel Phillips is not one of those guys. Like Coach Noel Phillips, like you are somebody who, like, I've worked with you, I've like worked out with you, I've spent time with you, like all this like talk that you say, like you back it up. Like it's a great day to be great. Like the purpose stuff, like you live it in your everyday life. Like you're up at like 3, 4 a.m. You're working out before everybody else is even awake, and then you're going and training other people all day. You're working into the night. You're like living out everything that you're preaching, and it's not just a brand. It's not something you're trying to sell people on. It's how you live, and you're genuinely trying to help people. So I just want to say that because like I feel like oftentimes there's an impression of like these that it's sort of this like edgy new brand of like podcast, like influence coaches coming on and trying to sell people, basically trying to upsell people to get them to buy into their brand or to buy their coaching services. But you actually live it out. It actually is how you live. It's actually how you do your day-to-day life. And you're just so passionate about that you can't help but sharing it with other people. So
yes, sir.
I just want to honor that. But
thank you, man.
But before we get to the coaching stuff too, like about your own personal fitness coaching, I want to. So there's a lot of NFL fans left over in San Diego, even though the Chargers aren't here anymore. So it's interesting because like since the time that you were in the game, the game has changed a lot. And we talked about it in the last podcast, but something you and I were texting about the other day was interesting, which is that Tom Brady, who just retired, was it 2 years ago or 1 year ago now? But he's in the broadcast booth. So
yes, sir.
He made a comment where he feels like football as a whole is changing in some not so positive ways, where especially in the NFL, you see it. Like you see bad offensive play being rewarded. You see bad quarterback play being rewarded because they're essentially penalizing defenders for offensive mistakes that put offensive wide receivers, tight ends, et cetera, in vulnerable positions to take those hits. And like how just Brady was talking about essentially how we need to restructure the game so that we don't reward that bad offensive play with penalties, but we restructure the game to make it safer and more efficient. Right. What's your take on that and what Brady said?
Yeah, man. I mean, I agree with Tom Brady a lot, man. I mean, the game is meant to be played. I mean, we all know what we're signing up for when we play the game. It's a physical game, but obviously the new age of the game is, as a defender, it's hard because you can't really hit guys. You can't. I mean, it's almost. I mean, you hit a guy, you're getting penalized, so now if you don't make the tackle or hit a guy, now you're losing your job or your team's losing the game. So, it's huge, man. It's huge as far as like, how do you play the game? Where's the thin line? It's like, and I think, honestly, where I think some changes need to be made. I think, like, I like how they're put. I do like how now they're wearing those the safety things on the helmets.
Kinds of helmets. I forget what they're called, but
I've seen them. And a lot of the young guys that I coach, we wear them too. But I think that's for concussions, that's huge.
Does that actually work? Is there a reason?
Yeah, they work. I think they work. So I think that's a huge thing. But it's like I said, as a defender, man, it's truly hard now to play the game as a defender because it's like
it's not like fun to play defense.
No, I mean nowadays it's really hard because it's like if you You hit a guy, you're getting flagged or you're getting penalized. But if you don't come in full speed, you miss the tackle. You got a guy like Derrick Henry.
You can't come in half speed trying to like think about like how you're gonna. You just got to tackle him.
Listen,
like,
if you come
you're
in,
gonna get run over.
Listen, if you come in and you try to slow up to hit Derrick Henry, good luck.
No,
you're gonna be
you're
on his
gonna die.
highlight tape. You're gonna be on the front of NFL Instagram page, and you're gonna be a meme. Because you came in, you'll get stiff armed like all those guys we've seen,
He's gonna
right?
throw you to the ground like a child.
Man, I mean that's a big dude. I mean, like a giant out there, and he's strong and he's fast.
It's not look fun to tackle.
No, so what option do you have? If you slow up, you get ran over, right? And if you get ran over, you miss a tackle. Now you're getting benched. But if you come in and hit him too hard, because that's the only option. If you hit him the wrong way, now it's a penalty. So it's truly hard to play defense nowadays because
I don't know how
it's a lose-lose.
But I mean, obviously, there's still guys who play great defense. You know, T.J. Watt. Shout out to my Steelers. But
you love T.J.
But yeah, I do love T.J. Watt. But
enjoying this episode? Subscribe for more content on finding your own path to success. Every subscriber makes a huge difference to the pod, and we're grateful for everyone. And don't forget to throw us a classy like and comment too to let YouTube know that you're a fan of our stuff. Now back to your regularly scheduled podcasting.
seriously though, like obviously there are still guys who do play defense, but it's like it doesn't seem like a good favorable position. Yeah. It doesn't seem like it's incentivizing younger players to want to play defense and in the NFL. And I gotta say, like as far as because the safety stuff is real, right? Like we are like the research about concussions is out. You know the movie with Will Smith, right? Concussion.
Yeah, Concussion.
Movie. That movie came out like what in the last like 5-10 years. And, and you know that showed a lot of the stuff that's been going on behind the scenes with like kind of the NFL like hushing up the research about concussions and the reality of the impact it has on players' long-term well-being and lives. And you have some really tragic stories like Junior Seau and other guys who like it really screwed them up permanently. And so I mean look, even Antonio Brown now. I mean the guy's like a shell of his former self. I mean shout out to the player. Like he's in my opinion. In my opinion, he is among the top 5 greatest wide receivers.
Oh, for sure, man.
But just what it's done to his mental state is like obvious. Just from looking
100%. I mean, 100%, man. I mean, he is one of my favorite players of all time. I love the way that he attacked his training. I mean, he was the epiphany of a guy who worked hard. I mean, he earned it. He wasn't a first rounder. You know, I think if I'm correct, he was like a 6th rounder or something, and he earned a starting spot, earned an All-Pro. I mean. So all the accolades for him to work his whole life, and then, you take a couple bad hits, and it can change you.
That hit from Burfict in the 2015 playoffs.
You're a Steelers fan.
Yeah, that one I'll never forget.
Yeah, no,
it's a horrible hit.
Horrible, and honestly
ended his career.
Yeah, and honestly, man, it's sad because and I don't really like to speak on anybody personally, but like it's like he doesn't seem the same.
He's not the same.
He's not the same.
You look at interviews before and after; it's a completely different person.
Yeah, he just doesn't seem, and we don't know all the things behind the scenes, but still, it's like you could tell some things that it affected him. And I just want to make one comment real quick as we're on this concussion.
Yeah.
Like we noticed, everybody knows about the thing that's going on with Tua.
Yeah.
Now, obviously,
that's a tough one.
Now that's a quick little topic. Like, so check this out. Now, as an athlete. Okay, if we work our whole lives to make it to the NFL, okay? So now you get there, and now you're getting these concussions. Now you're at a point where we all know with the research with concussions how dangerous it is. It's like you have a life after football. We've seen how it's affected some guys that's played, right? But then you have a guy who's worked his whole life, he gets there, and
you try to tell him not to.
You try to tell him, hey, well, do you still want to play? As a player, we are raised and taught to play the game, to play tough. To play, if you're not, you're either injured or you're hurt, to play through pain.
Yeah, if you're walking, you're still playing.
Right? You're a warrior. So you're taught all those, but then it gets to a point where now it's affecting your mental, and it's
your
life
at home and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, so it's a sad thing kind of going with him because that dude works so hard to get there. But now it's like, let's be realistic. He's had like 5 concussions in the last year.
Pretty much everybody in football is calling him to retire, but he's not going to.
He doesn't, right? So as a player, I understand as the player part of him is like, no, man, I can play. Yeah. Right? But then now as a former player who also who's played the game and also sees some of the effects after playing, it's like, man, I had to come to, a conclusion, and I think every football player comes at a certain point when my football career stopped or ended. I had to recognize that Noel Phillips, football is what I did, is not who I was. Let me say it again. For any athletes, that's on your journey, and I love the game. That's why I still coach the game and why I'm around the game. But football is what you do, it's not who you are.
Yeah.
Because the goal is to have a life after football, right? So, yeah, it's like I said, man, prayers to Tua and everything that's going on with him, because that's a tough decision, man. He's in the prime of his career and he's dealing with real life, like.
And I'm sure in his personal life, there's people saying both things to him, and he's got to be like kind of battling that with that like, on a daily basis.
Of course.
But it's like he's such a gamer, such a baller, such a dynamic like quarterback. But at the same time, you look at him and it's like, man, dude, like a couple more of those could really permanently change his life.
No,
like,
exactly.
if it hasn't already. So it's like, a lot of current and former players are calling on him to retire, and it's a tough spot he's in.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, do you foresee a future where the NFL kind of course corrects and says, hey, like we need to protect players, but we can't do it at the expense of the integrity of the game and making defense impossible? Do you think that course correction is bound to happen, or do you not really see that?
I mean, it's hard. I mean, I feel like as much as they can make the game as safe as it is, I feel like right now is like the game is a brutal physical game.
Yeah, that's the nature
it's like,
of a game like football or rugby or anything like that. It's just going to be like...
Right. At this point, it's like any more safer, we're playing two-hand touch.
Yeah.
You might as well get the flags out and start pulling flags, because there's no really other ways. I mean, you got to remember
that would kill the NFL's brand too.
And that right? It would kill the brand. So you can't make it really any safer. But then it's also so dangerous. So I think the answer is like, I think what the NFL should do when it comes to this concussion thing, I think it should be something like where once you get a certain number of concussions, I don't know what that number is. I'm not a doctor, but once you hit a certain number of concussions,
they force you
to have to retire if you really care about the players, because at some point, obviously as players, 99% of players are not gonna ring the bell and give
pride.
up. Pride, and that's what
that's what got him there. But
right?
it's.
But at some point, it has to be a little bit safer for the not the football player, but the human behind.
It was like wasn't it Wes Welker who had so many concussions that by the end of his career, like basically his team like forced him into retirement because they're like, hey, look, buddy, you can't. Yeah. Like you're gonna die if you keep like playing.
Yeah, and we've seen guys that's died after already. It's not like and I'm sure. Listen, and I'm sure some of these teams, behind the scenes, I'm sure they are like they're talking to the players, and I'm sure they've offered their like these. I'm sure doctors and people has offered advice like, hey, maybe.
But you think maybe it should be more like structure? It's like, hey, like it's just if you hit like I'm just throwing this out there, I have no idea, but like 5 concussions, like you're done. Like
like I just think it should be like, because the reality is like,
because these guys aren't going to retire.
They're not. That's my point. My point is, as a player, you're taught to keep going and keep
again, that's the mentality that got you there.
That's what got you there, right? Yeah. And so you're not gonna you have guys you'll hear all the time that's like, I think in the interview, Tua's like, he's like, I love the game. He's like, I'll die for this game. Dude, there's people who really die in the game. So it's like, as a player, you're not going to ring the bell. So I think the NFL has to do a little bit better of somewhat coming up with some type of, a rule or something where they figure, okay, this is a certain number of concussions. And if a guy gets more than that, then we have to come in and make some type of decision. Because the guys aren't going to do it themselves.
Yeah.
Hey, can I ask a question from a non-sports guy perspective?
Yes, sir.
And I don't have a dog in the fight here. I'm just wondering, if the flags did come out and they said, okay, we're gonna play flags as the way football is gonna be played now, too many people are getting injured, like what's wrong with that? Like what is there's other non-contact basketball, soccer, there's lots of other non-contact sports out there that don't involve plowing people into the turf. So like what's so bad about that you guys think that it would just kill the game?
So I'll give a quick 15-second answer and then I'll let you give the expert answer. So I think that my first thought is that if football becomes flag football, there's a reason why no one watches that now, right? Because there are flag football leagues. Like actually there are professional, or I don't know if they're professional, but there's like semi-professional adult flag football leagues, but no one watches that or cares about it. So I get the feeling that you take away the physical tackle element of the game, and it's not really like football anymore in the way that it draws people. But go ahead.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think for anybody who's ever played football, it's like, for one, the game is it's a different game. I mean, we have guys you come out before the seasons and we call them T-shirt and short All-Americans. The guys, receivers catch all the balls. These guys are great, but once they get passed on, they're not the same. You get hit, you find out if you're a football player. That's why they say like, some of those tackling drills have created the best basketball players. Guys get hit, they're like, I'm not a football player. Let's go play basketball, right? So, but I mean, I just think that it also comes from like, I think just, football, just where it originated, it's like a warrior sport. And it's like a pride and that comes with it of like, as a warrior. And it's like, once you take out the physical, the warrior mentality of it, it's like,
People
really,
lose interest.
Yeah.
Like both the players and the fans.
Well, that's why even if you notice now, ratings are down for the Pro Bowl. Because now the Pro Bowls,
it is actually like two-hand touch now.
Like the Pro Bowls now, they're pretty much playing two-hand touch.
And that just because Rob doesn't know football that much because he doesn't watch it. Like the Pro Bowl is like where all like sort of the all-stars who didn't make it to the Super Bowl get to all kind of play in a fun game before the Super Bowl, the week before the Super Bowl. But it's not like an actual game. Does that make sense? Like,
so it's like a consolation prize game.
Yeah, it's like baseball has like an all-star game. You know about that?
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Okay.
So it doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah.
But
So it's like it's tradition. Is basically
Tradition,
that's
there
what
we
I'm
go.
hearing. Is it's tradition, and it would feel like a different game to you guys if it wasn't about smashing people into the grass.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, like that makes sense. And it's again, I'm a very much not a sports guy, so I don't know what makes you guys tick, to be totally honest. So that's actually very, very interesting to hear your perspective.
Well, I'll
on
say
that.
this: I never played ball anywhere close to the level you did, but when I was playing collegiate rugby at UCLA, like I remember that rugby is like obviously also a very physical game. So it's like when you after the first few practices, lots of guys show up. They're all jazzed to be playing rugby. Like a lot of them are there kind of just for the parties and stuff. But everyone's showing up and everyone's like really jazzed on rugby, playing rugby at UCLA and. But then we have the first couple contact practices, and then a lot less guys showed up after that. So
Right.
I think that kind of tells you, like, there's a big difference as you're talking about between a contact and a non-contact. No disrespect to non-contact sports. Those take lots of skill. Like, baseball and basketball, like those are all equally valid sports. It's just a different kind of game.
For sure.
And football, rugby, whatever, like sports like that or MMA, those sports test you physically, especially I feel like as men, it like tests us physically in a way that's like kind of one step below like actual like war. Like it's kind of like that's kind of the kind of mentality you have.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, everything you said, I agree. And I think like when we talk about viewership, when we talk about just viewers watching, like, a game is, I mean, like it's like I said in the Pro Bowl, the guys, once they put the flags on, or not flags, I'm sorry, but it's like a two-hand touch game.
Yeah.
If you watch the ratings, people don't really watch that anymore. I mean, it's to the point now where like they're talking about like just making it a two-hand touch game soon or some are taking it away because nobody watches it anymore.
No one cares about the Pro
No one
Bowl.
cares
I can't
about
remember the last time I watched it.
Me either. That's what I'm saying.
But I'll say this too, like, again, to answer Rob's question, it also just changes strategically the game. It's not even just if you take away the hits, it's like, oh, okay, who cares? But it's like, it's also a strategic thing. Cause like, for instance, like in football, you know what a hospital pass is, of course, right?
Right, of course.
Yeah. It's when you throw a player a pass, that's a really bad pass, kind of a lofty pass in the air that puts him in a position where the defender can just tee off on him. It's just go in and knock the guy to the ground. So that's a really bad, but now if it was two-hand touch, that doesn't really matter because then like the guy's not going to get, they can just keep running that play, right? Because it like doesn't really matter if he gets two-hand touch in that position. But if he's going to get hit and like run over, that completely changes the strategic element of the game. Like that guy could get hurt. Like you're not going to run that play again. So it like strategically changes the way that the game would proceed from that point on.
So there'd be other rules that would have to change if they change that. But mostly it's about satisfying the fans' bloodlust. Got it.
Well, yeah, I mean that's another perspective too. Like but yeah, strategically it would change. Like in rugby, if I ever gave someone a hospital pass, I'd go over to my teammate and I'd apologize because it's like, man, like I put you in a bad position, like. But yeah, if we're playing touch in practice, and we would play touch in practice, as I'm sure you've played touch games in practice, those things aren't as important, right? Like it doesn't, like it's okay, like you gave a guy a bad pass, but in the game, like you're gonna get your teammate killed for doing that.
Hello, I'm Dr. Nate Schott, practicing dentist for 25 years. I've had 33 offices at one time. By the time I was 30 years old, I've been on the state dental board. I've also helped be part of a hospital company that developed a hospital, also treatment centers, a lot of entrepreneurial endeavors. I really know what dentists are going through. I'd like to invite you to be part of my school that I'm starting. And you can find that at dental-secrets.com. find out everything you need to know there. We're going to develop a community of dentists all over the country. I'm going to be on there a couple times a month. Ask me questions. I'm going to teach. I'm going to lead. Also, I'd like to invite you to check out my business called PLG, Practice Leadership and Growth. And you can find that at www.discoverplg.com, so you can be able to live how you're made to live, be more profitable, be better at everything that you do.
Listen, look, when it comes to football, if you're an offensive guy, receiver or something, dude, no offensive player, running back, receiver wants to play with a quarterback that throws them out there with leaving their bodies open to get hit.
You just lose confidence in your quarterback.
Dude, that's the easiest way for you to, as a quarterback, guys don't want to play with you. The reason why guys love Tom Brady is because, dude, Tom Brady was so smart where he might not have the strongest arm, but he would put the ball in the right spot so you can protect yourself. And that's what a lot of the younger quarterbacks and guys don't do well. They throw great arms. That should be another test you add to the NFL. Is like, they test guys on like how far they can throw and accuracy and stuff, but like, how about in-game accuracy of throwing? Because a lot of guys have been injured and careers ending. And look at Antonio Brown. Yeah, you put a guy out there defenseless and he gets hit. Now he's a hospital pass. Yeah. And it was real quick, not to change the subject, but I just want to give a shout out to all the rugby players. My dog Steve here, former UCLA rugby player, and I actually train a couple rugby guys now that play at USD and places like that. And dude, I got a whole new I'm a former football player, dude, I got so much respect for rugby guys, dude. For all my football players out there, if you guys think you guys are dogs, go watch some rugby games. You talk about brutal, these guys don't got pads on. Me just watching it from a football standpoint and seeing it, I got a lot of respect for it because, man, you got to be tough, man. Some of these football players, if you think you're tough, go see some of these rugby players. These guys are tough for real.
You've had some rugby guys recently transition over to football. And,
yes, sir.
I think there's an Eagles guy on the offense who was a former rugby player. I can't remember his name, but it's happened a couple times recently because in a lot of ways the game is similar. I mean, obviously, the rules are different, but a lot of ways kind of the structure and like spirit of the game is similar. Yeah. And that's why I'm surprised rugby hasn't taken off more professionally. I think it might one day, but I'm surprised because it kind of appeals to like what Rob refers to as our American bloodlust. Like it kind of appeals to that, right? Like it's a very American sport. Like it's hard hitting, it's hard nose, it's like blood, guts, and dirt, and like right? Like why wouldn't that appeal to like American sports fans? Like
it's a proxy for war, like Noel said, and we love war in America. I tell you what.
So I say give it time. Like I say like 10, 20 years. Like I've seen more and more like youth camps and rugby at being coached at schools and talk of it becoming a D1 collegiate sport, like officially. So I'd say give it 10, 20 years, maybe the conversation about rugby will shift. But I'll say this, like, rugby like taught me a lot about who I am. Like it really tested me as a man.
Yes, sir.
And I'll tell this quick one story and then I'll shut up about it. But when I first joined rugby, I joined it for the reasons I was talking about earlier. I wanted to go to the parties. I thought it'd be cool to say I was a rugby player. Yeah. But then I didn't expect to play my first year because I was, I was a B player. I was on the bench. Yeah. And then this was my first year of college. All of our A players, all of our starters got suspended. This was before I transferred to UCLA, but this was the school I was going before. Yeah. All the stars got suspended for drinking on the sideline during a game. So then all the B players, all the rookies like me, got promoted to start for the next game because it was either that or I just had to forfeit the game. Right. But at that point, we needed a win to get in the playoffs. Wow. So it all came down to all the rookie players like myself had to start with, we had like 2 vets and then the rest of them were B players. Okay. And we won that game.
And you balled out.
We won that game on the final play.
Let's go.
It was a crazy game. I'll never forget it.
Ain't that a story for the ages right there?
It was the hardest thing I'd ever done. I was exhausted 10 minutes in. It was an 80-minute game. I was completely exhausted. Never been tested like that before. I mean, I was getting hit. I was in so much pain. I sprained my thumb 2 minutes into the game. And I was the guy who was responsible for relaying the passes. So so that was a really bad injury because it was like I couldn't do my job effectively. So I told them and I stayed in the game, but they had another guy swap out for that. It was raining, the ball was slippery. Wow. People were making mistakes right and left, but we made fewer of them. And we won the game. So I don't know how, but
look, more of the story is, look, in life, we all make mistakes, but I read something that said a wise or something about we all make mistakes. One man he learns from one man commits the same mistakes over and over, right? The next person learns from others' mistakes. Or I'm sorry, learns from their own mistakes. And the last man, a wise man learns from others' mistakes.
Yeah.
Right? So we all want to be wise men and learn from your own mistakes. And the next point is learning from others. You don't have to always make the mistakes to learn from them. And, you know, when it comes to sports, whoever team makes the least mistakes is going to win. So,
yeah,
yeah,
but
it's crucial.
Yeah, that was a fun memory, but yeah, it was. But yeah, you're right. It's like, and Rob has a point too, where it's like, okay, at what point does like sort of is it really about like just kind of the fans' desire to see, you know, people suffer physically and kind of the semi-war environment, and like that's a good point too. I think it's like a balance, right? It does to some extent bring out the best in us, especially as men. You know, it brings out the best in us, and some of the qualities and characteristics that we admire in people and men, like in leaders, come out in those moments, right? Like, you know, you can only have courage when there's a time where there's fear, right? You can only have strength when there's pain and weakness and doubt and perseverance, and so like sports, like I think part of the reason we love sports, and you know, I know we've been going on about this for a few minutes now, but it's like I think like, you know, sometimes people deserve to have their hope rewarded, right? Like we want to see those great moments because that's like what we admire, that's what we look up to in people, and so I think that's part of it too. And like, how do you balance that with like just safety and common sense? That's a good point, but.
Well, right. Like at the end of the day, it's a game, and people are dying or, you know, being basically, you know, mentally, you know, destroyed for the rest of their lives. So there's got to be a balance somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, last thought on this is like, I myself, like I suffered a concussion when I was a senior at UCLA, and I didn't recognize it a concussion right away. And then I came back to my apartment, and I was like slurring my words and like all hazy and like dizzy, but I didn't report it to the training staff. And the reason I didn't is because I was fighting for a starting spot. And I was afraid that if I reported the concussion, I would get benched. Because it was that competitive at UCLA, where I was like, man, if I tell them about this, like you're not going to play again.
Man, I didn't, you know, I would never, you know, the biggest guy in the field, you know, but I always tried to play tough and play big, right? But man, I've had a couple concussions in my life too on the field, and you know, I remember I had one game and didn't come out of the game, and you know what I mean. And I didn't come out because, for one, I mean, you know, as an athlete, you're taught to keep going, keep fighting, you know, and also I feel like my team needed me, so I didn't want to come off the field, right? So, but I just remember, you know, having a concussion, and man, being in the huddle when they're calling the plays, I can't even remember the plays they're calling. You know what I mean? Like seriously, like quarterbacks having to tell me what to do in the huddle. I know, well, this is the 28 toss. I'm like, 28 toss. You just run to the right. Right. But I mean, and you know, and I mean, and that's what a lot of guys are faced with. So, yeah, man, it's
a tough situation.
A tough situation, man. And it's got to be a balance, but you know, it's got to be a balance.
Did you subscribe yet? If you like our content, it's the easiest way to support the pod. Hit the subscribe button on the bottom right and keep it classy.
So as far as so moving on a bit, like as far as the fitness stuff like that you do, like you're a big fitness coach. You've been coaching in San Diego now for how long again? Like
man, a while.
At least 5 years, right?
Easily, probably about 7 years.
About 7 years, yeah. So and did you start coaching immediately after like your injury and kind of after you came out of that injury, or was there kind of a longer transitional period for you?
Man, you know, so when I like every athlete, you know, you don't just stop. You know, if you're going your whole life kind of on the same topic, you know, you try to keep going and you try to go as long as you can. So with me, when I got to a point where I felt like, okay, you know, maybe it's, you know, the NFL route's not going to work, or maybe getting back, you know. So at that point, I had an opportunity to do this little tryout for EA Sports, and it was motion capture to help create the game Madden. And at that point, I went to a tryout. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, dude, I get called and they're like, "Hey, you know, well, you know, if you want to try out for, the motion capture to create the new Madden game." This is like in, I think, like 2000. This is like 2020 or 2021. And they're like, "Yeah, you know, come out there and try out, and you know, they're gonna pick like 5 guys." Dude, I get out there. There's hundreds of people. Yeah, hundreds. There's like lines everywhere, and I'm just like, there's no way they're gonna pick me for this. Yeah. And I came out there, man, and man, it's a blessing. But I came out there and made it. And they picked 5 of us, and then we traveled to Canada. to Vancouver, and we created Madden, and they put the dots on you and all that type of stuff. So I helped create the game Madden. So I wasn't in the game, but I was in the game.
Yeah.
Helped create the game.
Yeah.
And
That's awesome, man.
yeah, man, that's probably, I mean, that's actually like a, something I'm proud of. And but after that happened, I'm like, okay, well, how can I stay close to the game?
Yeah.
And I've always been, workoutaholic, workoutaholic, and I always was the guy before I really was training guys. I was already training guys.
Yeah.
Because I was the guy. If you played sports, I was the guy that I was real disciplined when it came to training, and I loved just making myself better, stronger, faster. And I was the guy that guys would be like, man, Noel, I'm going with you to the gym tomorrow. Man, I'm going with you. So before you know it, I got all kind of people going with me. And at that time, it was just.
And you started to think, wait.
Well,
I could do something.
I could do
with
this, but honestly, man, I didn't even know I was training them. I was just, I'm there I'm helping, I'm working out with guys, and
that's just how you are, though.
Right?
Like,
and I just love seeing people.
Like seeing people grow.
Man, I like seeing people grow, seeing people get stronger, just building confidence in themselves, whether it's a sport or just a regular person. And at a certain point, I had so many people trying to get me to to train them and train with me. I'm like, well, man, this is, you know what I mean? It kind of put things kind of, it's funny how life works, man. Life kind of, if you living in your purpose and really truly being true to yourself and genuine, like I feel like what you're supposed to do will come to you. You know what I mean? It's almost like the moment you stop chasing it. If it's meant for you, the life that's meant for you, your purpose will actually chase you. It'll find you. And sometimes the best way to find it is to stop chasing it. If you stop chasing it, it'll actually come to you naturally. So that's kind of what happened to me. And I found my purpose. And
it's like inescapable. Like, was it Jonah and the whale?
Right.
Where he gets like thrown overboard in the Bible, and like, regardless of your views on that. But it's like, the allegory of that story, right, is like our purpose chases us, right? Where he gets thrown into the whale, and or he jumps into the ocean to avoid, because God's like, go preach to these people, and he doesn't want to do it, so he jumps into the ocean. The whale swallows him. He gets spat up on the shores.
Yeah.
And he ends up going and doing it anyway. So it's like the idea, like whether you believe in that story or not, or if it's just like poetry, but it's like that idea, like your purpose chases you, will find you.
Yeah.
And I think that the alternative, right, is not great either, which is like, if you avoid that purpose all your life, you can still live a life and you can still have a normal life, but I think as you grow older, it probably starts to haunt you, right? Where it's like, you think about what could have been if you had pursued that youthful dream, that passion of yours, like, and instead you kind of checked out and just went through the motions, and you didn't, what could have been, but that's not where you want to go, right? So it's like, it's better to start with that purpose, I feel like, as soon as possible.
Yeah. One thing that I've learned is, I was thinking about this the other day is, life is not about having everything. Life is about appreciating everything you have and making the most out of what you have. Let me say it one more time. Life is not about having everything. Life is about appreciating everything you have and making the most out of what you have. And that's a purposeful life. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of on the lines of what you're just talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
No, I love that, man. Like, and I just want to say, like, too, as far as like coaching, like, so I've worked with you personally, like, you coached me for a lot of 2022, and
that was back when Steve used to be big, right?
yeah, that was back. I think
Steve's still big.
I think I've gotten maybe more the lean and mean bod now. I don't know, but maybe we'll do a shirtless podcast episode in the future here. But,
Steve took it personal.
I'm just teasing you, man. You're still big.
That's no, it's actually funny. I had a friend a while back who's like, man, you should do a shirtless podcast episode to raise awareness about like mental health or something. I was like, oh, but not gonna happen. But anyways, I just want to say, like, as far as like your coaching and stuff, like your coaching philosophy, for as much fun we have and as much as I like you, like when I was working with you, it's very intense and focused to the second. Like, it's not, there's no like lax period. There's no like, kind of downtime. It's like, if you're there, we're working. Like, from the moment you get in, it's like, all right, like, you're here, like, let's go. There's no like, oh, let's talk around, like, let's go to the bathroom. It's like, no, do that, get all that shit out of the way before we come here, and we're working. Like, from the moment you get in, after the moment you get out, it's like, oh, like, rest, like, never heard of her. Like,
man,
we're working in between sets. We're supersetting, like, everything. It's like, okay, you're done with that. You're done with deadlifts. We're gonna go to squat.
Man,
like, you're done with bench. We're going to push-ups. Like, it's not like this, like, kind of lackadaisy. Like, I see a lot of time, and it's not just even people in the gym, but I see people who are working with trainers, and and obviously, there's people with injuries and conditions, and I respect that. But like I see a lot of people working even with trainers, and it's just kind of this like lackadaisical, like, oh, they're just having this social hour with their trainer. It's like, no, like if you're paying, like you got to be working. Like, it's like, what are you there for? Like, what is your purpose? And I don't see a lot of people working out with that kind of purpose.
Yeah. And well, there we go. You just man, hit the hammer on the nail. It's like you use the word purpose, and you got to have a purpose for everything you do. And that's about just, living intentional. And when it's coming to training, you got to train intentional as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? Especially, I always go to the athlete. Well, I mean, there's bodybuilding, but there's also athletic training. Athletic training is about performance. Yeah. So when it's about performance, man, listen, time is the most valuable asset in life. You know what I mean? It's everybody has this competitive about they're competing against the next person. We all know you are your only competition, but the next thing is, it's not just about the competition, it's the time. You're really competing against time. So there we go again. When I break down a session or just training or working out, man, I'm trying to be intentional with every second, every minute that I'm there, and I'm trying to get better and get stronger and have a purpose. So I don't believe in going through the motions. And Steve knows, like he said, I mean, we're getting after it. And I always like that little saying where like the sweat don't lie. Yeah. You see somebody come out of the gym and they're sweating, they worked. Yeah. Then you see guys coming out. If you're coming out of the gym, you got too much energy, you look too much, laughing too much, you got a little too much energy, you probably didn't work hard enough.
It shouldn't be like that.
So
yeah, I mean, look, like, and what you said about time, that reminded me of, Kobe Bryant's quote where he was like, hey, like, the greatest mistake we make is thinking we have time.
Come on.
And I don't mean this to mock him, but like, that's tragically ironic with how his life ended. And,
just take a step further. I mean, cut you off. There we go, right? And it's very tragic with Kobe, but guess what? We all know that one thing we can say is, and especially, the athlete Kobe, I don't know him personally. We all know he was a great man, but man, he made every minute count. The time that he was here, that's why he's impacted so many people, because he actually he took advantage of the time he had. I always go like to the topic of like, would you rather live to be 120 years old, or would you rather to be 70 but live 70 years of intentional and take advantage of the 70 years? You know what I mean? That's just a question, some people might want to live to, like for me, I'd rather live to be 70 and just know I gave everything I had for every second and impacted people for my whole entire life and I believe the goal in life as humans is to serve others and to empty yourself here. When we all leave here, man, my goal in life is when it's finally said and done, I don't want to leave here feeling like I left something on the table, like I didn't give it all I had.
Hello, I'm Dr. Nate Schott, practicing dentist for 25 years. I've had 33 offices at one time by the time I was 30 years old. I've been on the state dental board. I've also helped be part of a hospital company that developed a hospital, also treatment centers, a lot of entrepreneurial endeavors. I really know what dentists are going through. I'd like to invite you to be part of my school that I'm starting. And you can find that at dental-secrets.com. Find out everything you need to know there. We're going to develop a community of dentists all over the country. I'm going to be on there a couple times a month. Ask me questions. I'm going to teach. I'm going to lead. I'd also like to invite you to check out my business called PLG, Practice Leadership and Growth. You can find that at www.discoverplg.com, so you can be able to live how you're made to live, be more profitable, be better at everything that you do.
The light that burns twice as hard lasts half as long. So it's, if you have a lot of impact like that, sometimes it's one of those things where, I mean, you see a lot of the greatest men, like, sure, like, we can't all be like Nelson Mandela, who lived a very long life. But it's like there's a lot of guys who don't live that long, but they make like the most impact. And Kobe was one of those guys. And, I mean, the man runs Los Angeles. He turned that city around, like the attitude, like the mindset. Like, I mean, I was in LA when he passed away, which granted was right before COVID. But even people who don't give a rat's ass about sports in LA were talking about Kobe. And not just because he died, but because of the impression of the work ethic, because of the impression on just the culture of the city that he left. And so it's like, people like the naysayers will stand in the corner and be like, he wasn't always a great teammate. He was a ball hogger. He just did this, but it's like, okay, you can say that, but Kobe accomplished more at the age of 17 than you will your entire life.
Man, that dude.
So Kobe Bryant exemplifies LA, but he exemplifies like the hard working spirit and the relentless belief in self that it takes to get to that point. So
yeah, and his and just his dedication to greatness, man. Like, like I said, man, my life's purpose is I stand on it. It's a great day to be great. Like some people hear it and they're like, oh, it sounds cool.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, man, like I live by
that's
this.
how you live, man.
Right.
People that know that.
They know it. And Kobe was great, man. I mean, like at the end of the day, like, if you read the Mamba mentality, or we all know, like, dude, the way he lived his life. I read so much about Kobe and his preparation and just, I saw somewhere it said,
insane, man.
They asked him, Kobe, why don't you, pass the ball more or something? He said something to the extent of, dude, if I come to the gym at 5 in the morning, right, or 3, 4 in the morning, and I shoot up, I don't remember how many shots, but if I shoot 1,000 shots at 5 in the morning, then I shoot at practice another 500. Then after that, everybody leaves, I stay and shoot 1,000 shots. When we get in the game and it's 1 second o'clock, why would I pass the ball to you if I know you didn't put the work in I put?
Yeah.
And that's just been honest. Like, I mean,
it's just like brutal
say he's a
honesty,
ball
man.
hog, but like, I'm not going to lie. If you're on my team, I want the guy who's the most prepared to take the last shot.
Yeah. And how many clutch shots did he have that won the game?
Man.
So it's like, there you go. But look, and as far as like the work ethic and the Kobe stuff goes, like, I feel like just in general, and I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, back in the old days. I mean, I wasn't even around in the old days, right? I'm 26. Like, but it's like, I just get the sense now in the gym, and it's great that there's so many more people in the gym. That's like great.
Yeah.
Like that's an overwhelmingly positive trend. Like whether you're like, Coach Noel Phillips here or Kobe Bryant, or whether you're just a guy trying to like get in reasonable shape, like go to the gym. But I get the sense that there's just sort of this lack of intentionality from like, I'll just say like 60-70% of people that I see at the gym who are, they're on their phones, they're kind of checked out, they're talking to people, and it's not I'm there with a purpose. And and then you kind of sit back and you're like, oh well, I'm not reaching my goals, why is this so hard? But it's like, man, like that's your time for you, like be intentional. And I'm just curious, like what do you think about just kind of the ways gym culture is changing? Because now it's like, everybody's an influencer. Everybody's a this, everybody's a that. Everybody's using tripods to videotape all their workouts. Everybody's like posting Instagram selfies like every set. Like there's obviously some positive and like the exposure that working out is getting, that gym culture is getting.
Yeah.
But there's also kind of a negative side to that. Like
100%.
What do you think?
Well, that's good. That's funny. No, I agree, man. Man, my take on the new gym culture is, and I get it. We live in a social media, time now where it's like if you don't post it, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So I get it, and it's all. I love that people are promoting fitness and trying to have a positive impact, and you know what I mean, and influence in a positive way, a healthy lifestyle. So I respect all that.
Yeah.
Now also the next step is like when you get the people there with the tripods and there for 4 hours just trying to get the right angle. It's like, dude, get your workout in and get out the gym.
Yeah, you could have been done in less than an hour.
Man, listen, in 4 hours, I done done 2 weeks of workouts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
4 hours, you'd be back in the NFL, man.
Man, look, 4 hours. Look, 4 hours. These biceps gonna look a lot bigger, man. No, but but yeah, no. So I mean, I just think it's a balance. Here we go. It's a balance. I'm all for the positive culture and healthy lifestyle and for the guys that's doing it, because it does need to be promoted. People need to see healthy people and what it looks like and how happy and how you feel.
That's
and
good.
If you feel good, you look good. And, so I respect all that. I'm talking about the guys that's there for 5 hours with the tripods. Like, you done 4 sets in 4 hours.
And I get, there's sort of this like sense that, well, if I didn't record it, if I didn't post it, like it didn't really happen. And I feel like that's just creating this really toxic like dynamic. And we talked about this with one of our last podcast guests, right? Ryan Gans, shout out to Ryan. He's a owner of Fit Stop La Jolla. But he was talking about basically how like, people will, there's all these apps that you use to record your progress, which are great, by the way, but people will like, actually restart their workout and be like, oh, well, because it didn't happen because I forgot to start my app or some shit. Like,
man.
and it's just like, yeah, that's not good. That's negative.
Right. I tell guys every day, look, man, like, it's good to show your workouts and all that, but the moment that showing the workout is more important than the actual workout, that's when you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
And results don't lie.
Yeah.
One thing that I love about, fitness and just, you can't buy muscles in a grocery store. I mean, nutrition, that's different. But I'm saying you have to earn it. That's one of the greatest things about, being healthy and being in shape is you got to earn it, man. And you can't go get in shape in one day. It takes a lot of consistency, discipline, commitment, effort, and you got to keep the main thing. The main thing is to be healthy, is to be in shape, to, look good, feel good, and, and a healthier lifestyle. So that's got to be before the videos and getting the right angles.
And man, look, I respect anybody that gets in the gym. I really do.
No,
Like,
me too.
if you only have time to get into the gym like 30, 40 minutes a day, like do it, man. Like that's better than like this idea that like, oh, if you're not a bodybuilder, if you're not like kind of like recognized by social media, it's like, well, what's the point? It's like, no, just get in there. You don't need to tell anyone. Just do it for 30, 40 minutes. Do something.
Right. And another thing, piggybacking on what Steve just said, listen, a 40-minute workout, if you go into the gym and you do like a high intensity, workout, HIIT training, and you get the most important muscle is the heart.
Yeah.
So I like the biceps and all that, but guess what? If this heart ain't healthy, this means nothing. So get in there and get a good sweat. Keep yourself moving. My best workouts, honestly, I like lifting heavy weights, but honestly, I get my best workouts when I sweat and I get more reps, less rest. Like Steve said, we're in there, man. We're in there an hour and we're moving.
Oh yeah, it's a long hour, man.
You're just moving. It's like really no rest. Your rest is just going to the next exercise.
Yeah.
Like literally, you know what I mean? And I'm one of those guys, if you move too slow and get to talking, no, man, come on, keep moving. Let's go.
Yeah, you got that stopwatch.
I got to stop it, man. Hey,
I hated that thing.
Man,
you'd be looking at like, all right, it's time for the next side.
Man,
God.
Listen, it's a stopwatch. Look, you got 15 seconds to walk from here to there.
I'm
Let's
like,
go.
15 seconds? I just finished like dying over on the squat rack.
Hey there, classy viewers. Thanks for listening to our podcast. We're dedicated to providing you with quality content that inspires and brightens your day. But keeping it classy can be expensive. If you enjoy our content, we're asking for your support for the podcast using the donation link in the description below. Donations mean the world to us, and even as little as $5 can make a huge difference in helping us make this podcast a reality. Plus, donors are added to our shortlist to be the first to receive exclusive offers on merch, extra content, and even chances to appear on the pod. Anything you can give would truly be appreciated. Now get back to enjoying the rest of the podcast, and as always, stay classy.
But yeah, man. Well, hey, that's great. But I also want to give you a chance, like in our last few minutes here, like, so you have a new clothing brand that you're trying to promote. Like, tell us about that and tell us what makes this different from what you've done before.
Oh man, so just man, like right now, I got this shirt on, man. It's a great day to be great, and I just want to spread that message, and because you don't have to be an athlete. You don't have to be. I mean, this goes to anybody. Being great is just owning your journey and living intentional and understanding that to be alive, you are blessed. So you owe it to yourself to be the best version of yourself. And that's mentally, physically, spiritually, and always growing. And I'm right now with this, it's like, you can say a fitness brand, but I say it's a human brand because you don't have to be an athlete to understand this brand. You have greatness, and I'm telling you, listen, if you're out there right now, or if you hear this, I'm telling you, I believe in you. I'm telling you that you can. I'm telling you, don't give up. I'm telling you to keep believing in yourself, keep working. Don't never stop. As long as you got air, you have opportunity, you have a chance, and the choice is yours. And believe in yourself and be great. And that's what I stand for. And I want people to understand this is not just for athletes, it's for everybody. Hey, if you're a parent and you're doing the best to the best for your family to be, if you're a dad, being the best father figure for your kids, if you're a mother, doing the best for your kids, that's greatness. If you, I don't care what the job title you have, if you're waking up and you're giving it everything you got for a better life, that's greatness. If you're an athlete and you're waking up every day and you're working hard and you're putting that effort, you're consistent, you're disciplined, that's greatness. Listen, if you're overcoming obstacles in your life and you're going through day-to-day struggles and you're not giving up and you keep fighting, that's greatness. So I'm telling you, man, we all got greatness in us, and I want you to know I believe in you. Don't give up on yourself, you know, and hey, let's leave that. Man, it's a great day to be great.
Dude, keep cooking, bro. But seriously though, like the thing is too is I think there's also this perception. We talk about perception at the beginning of the podcast of gym influencers and coaches and stuff. But there's this perception sometimes that's people who sort of these like soldiers at the gym. These jack guys don't really have like a personality or a life outside of that. But really what it does is like, and especially true in your case, is like that discipline bleeds over into every other area of your life.
Man.
Like it's bled over into your entrepreneurship,
Yes,
your
sir.
coaching. Like
Yes, sir.
it's not like your career in the NFL like was cut short and then you got really swole and then you kind of checked out of life. That's not what happened at all. Like instead you took this discipline and you transformed it into a message that's changed hundreds, if not thousands of lives already. And how many more people are you going to reach? Like you're just getting started, man. So
Man,
it's
just getting
like,
started.
hey, like, I just want to say like because not everybody that's going to watch this is going to like get up and be like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym right now. But it's like, but if you can take that like discipline, that nugget of like, hey, like I believe in myself. I believe I'm capable of this. Like there's people out there who love me, who believe in me. Like if you take that and that just starts something else, that's just the seed that begins the growth of maybe a new career path, maybe a new relationship, maybe like more responsibility with your family. Like this isn't just about working out. That's like the point I want to make.
And you know what, like I like to say, this is not a me brand, this is a we brand. And the reason why I say that is because, self-discipline, self-growth, it starts with you, right? Now, we all have this thing of, I always hear, how do we make the world a better place?
Yeah.
The way to make the world a better place is you have to start with you. Be the change you want to see. So if I wake up every day and I do my best to be the best version of Noel, guess what? If the best version of Noel is going to help impact a better Steve, a better Steve is going to help impact the next person. But you can't better the world if you're not bettering yourself. You can't help others if you can't first help yourself. So I'll start real quick. If we use this as an illustration, this water bottle, okay? If all the water is empty, right? An empty cup, if you give me another cup, an empty bottle can't fill up another empty bottle.
Yeah.
The only way I can fill another bottle up is I have to put something in there. I have to have some water in there.
Yeah.
And that water, to be able to impact the next person, you got to feed into somebody else. You got to first put it into yourself. So, think about being selfish and selfless. You got to be a little selfish to better others because you got to first be self-disciplined. You gotta grow as a human and better yourself before you can help better others.
Yeah.
So.
No, I love that, man. Like, I'll just close with this like quick story about like how we met. So I don't think I've ever told you. Excuse me, something in my throat. But I don't think I've ever told you this. But and I don't think I've ever actually shared this on the podcast before. But when I met you, that was early 2022. It was a couple months after I had broken up with my ex-fiance now. Okay. And I was going through a really tough time. It was really down in the dumps, kind of going through the motions. I mean, what we were talking about. Like I was going to the gym, but I wasn't engaged. Like I was just going to go, It was just like, well, this is kind of what I do. It's what I've done since college. And so I might as well just keep the routine up. Yeah. I met you at the gym and, you helped me spot me for a set of dumbbell inclines, I remember. But it's like just looking back now with perspective, I realized that, you're talking about pouring into people an empty cup. Like my cup was empty at that moment. Like I was at my lowest low. Like I was checked out of life. I was not taking things. I had no career path for me. I mean, I was just working a 9 to 5. I had no ambition. Like and you took that gym discipline, which was already to some extent there, but you took it to the next level. You elevated me at a key period of my life, man. And I won't forget that. Like I always appreciate you for that, man.
I appreciate you. Well, just know, man, listen, you impacted me as much as I impacted you. And guess what we just did? Pour into each other like I just said with this bottle. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Just like I poured in you, guess what you did back? Pour it back into me.
Yeah, and sometimes we need to hear that, right? Like we need to hear that we're making a difference. Like, sometimes I wake up, I'm like, man, like all this media shit I do. Is anybody like really, like, is it gonna really change anybody? But it's like, man, dude, all it takes is one. Like if you, and some people say that like, yeah, if you just change one life, but it's kind of just, you should kind of just say it, but it's like, no, but if you changed even one life, it was all worth it.
Yeah, man. And even on a deeper level is, change one life, but the big thing is you might save one life.
Yes.
You know, man, people are,
Like,
we're in the
saved,
biggest time of depression and people, mental health and people are, suicide and man, if, help impacting somebody can save a life, man. And, as humans, man, we're so valuable and we, we're priceless. That's why I always tell people, I always ask people, man, how much, if someone asks you, how much are you worth? And somebody give me a number, man, guess what? There's no number. As humans, we are priceless. There's no amount of money that can value a life. So like you said, even if you help one person, if you save one person's life, depression is at the highest it's ever been. Mental health, suicide is at the highest it's ever been. So it's important, man, to be positive and to impact people, to make a difference, to tell people you love them, to help others when you can, where you can.
Yeah.
It's important, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, like I was thinking about like those leg days we would hit, man. Those were brutal. Like I really didn't look forward to them. Like when we were squatting and then deadlifting to superset, man. I mean, that took a lot out of me. And there were moments where I was sweating, where I didn't want to be there, man. Like I was in pain. It was early. I didn't even want to be awake. And like, but you would just say, hey, man, like keep going, keep working. I realize now, like whether you meant it or not, it was like really, it was keep going in life. Like don't quit now, because I needed to hear that from you right then. Was like, keep going, keep pushing. Like there is a tomorrow. It's gonna get better. Like, and you didn't even know that backstory. You knew none of that, but you were just pushing me in that moment, and that pushed me forward in life.
Come on,
so I'm not here without you.
Man,
so,
man, I appreciate you, dog. For real.
Right.
Thank you.
Before we go, what's your website again? How can people buy your clothing, sign up for your coaching services?
So right now, so it's a great day to be great. I got all kind of stuff coming out here soon. It'll be on the website. The website is noel-phillips.com. Obviously, you can find me on Instagram, Noel_Phillips7. Man, I've been going to public speaking, doing a lot of motivational speaking. That's the next step in my career. I'm really trying to take that to the next level. So, man, I'm excited, man. Just as excited as I wake up to work out in the morning and to get after it, man, I feel it in my soul, man. That's where it's leading me. So, man, it's from the heart. People can tell when things is from the heart, man. It's really, I really love to see people, be the best version of themselves and help people and to give them, and not just help them believe in themselves. The biggest thing I can give anybody out there, man, believe in yourself. Let me say it again, believe in yourself, man, because it's the strongest thing in the world, man. If you believe in yourself, there's nothing you can't accomplish. The word impossible is I'm possible if you split it up. So, man, believe in yourself. And it's not over till it's over. Don't ever give up on yourself. Keep fighting. A bad day is not a bad life. A bad second, a bad moment is not a bad life. So keep fighting. Never give up on yourself.
All right, man. Well, hey, let's do around 3 in a few months, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Dude, this has been awesome. I can't wait to see what you keep accomplishing with the brand, with the coaching, man.
Thank you.
Good luck to are your Bears still in season? Or?
Man, listen, my Bears are still going. We have 2 semi games tomorrow, my 12U, 13U. I want to give a shout out to some of my coaches,
go ahead.
Coach, Chris Hildebrand, John Voracek, Alex Haynes. A lot of the coaches, Phil's, Sambalis, and also, man, even though I coach a lot of athletes in high school, colleges. I got a couple guys in the pros, different sports, basketball, volleyball, baseball. And I just want to give a shout out to all my athletes, man. And any athlete out there in the world that's really working to that with intention, man, has real goals. And it's not a dream because you're working, every day to accomplish your goals, man. Don't stop. Don't stop. If you don't win on the first try, keep going, and it's crazy how life works, man. Life is, it'll test you before it bless you. So just don't ever give up. Keep pushing forward, man. One foot in front of the other. Keep your head up, chin up, chest up, and keep going.
All right, man. Well, it's a great day to be great. It's a great day to be here with you, Coach Noel. And dude, let's run it back soon, yeah?
I appreciate it, man. It's a great day to be great.
All right, that's a wrap, guys. Thanks. This has been another recorded episode of Stay Classy Podcast with your host, Steve Wire. Thanks so much for tuning in. And as always, you can find all of our content at our website at stayclassypod.com. And thanks to our production sponsor and partner, MaxLux Media. You can find them at maxluxmedia.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Every subscription helps and goes a long way towards ensuring that we can continue to produce content for viewers like yourself. Thanks so much. Stay classy.